Hey y'all, it's your girl Sia, and I'm back with another video. Y'all, so really quick, I know that Kamala Harris is Biden's pick. Biden had stepped down, which he should have. I don't think Biden should have been made to run, considering Biden's current mental state. Not saying that there's anything wrong with it, but obviously the man can barely hold a sentence, barely keep his train of thought. And so he's not really cut out to be president, right? So he recently endorsed Kamala Harris. And I will tell you this, I'm in full support of this decision of Biden. I think it's very interesting that he was able to elect a woman. Again, I will argue that she's not black, or at least does not have the origins of a black person, but she does represent, quote unquote, the black community, in the sense that that's what she's being told, that's what she tells people she is, and that's kind of her being a black woman is something that she seems to kind of embrace, right? Now, I would have more of an issue with this if she didn't necessarily look black, but the woman kind of looks black and she kind of sounds like a black woman. So, in that regards, I'm in full support of this move. Um, the reason being is because, again, I believe in a lot of things that the conservative movement supports, but I will never get on board for the degradation and the disrespect and trying to put women back into 1960. Like, I don't, my personal well-being, I know would not be if we went backwards. Okay. I think having a woman president is a necessary thing, especially with the rhetoric that is being spewed against women, women who are independent, women who are empowered, women who are choosing to be single. Again, I just feel like the rhetoric is so dangerous in terms of women don't want what these men are preaching, that they're going to try to put women back in. And so obviously I'm not going to support that. Okay. I'm never going to support the demise of myself. Like, never. Okay. And because of the rhetoric that has been spewed, I will not be voting for Donald Trump and intentionally voting for Kamala. Um, do I agree with everything Kamala does? Do I even know if she's really fit to be president? No. But if we're going to have someone like Trump who supports the clear degradation of women, I mean, at the end of the day, I believe in women's rights. I think I mean, who better to vote for than a woman who looks like me, essentially, right? Obviously, I'm a little darker skinned, but she looked like she could be my auntie or somebody. So I'm voting for Kamala. Hands down, I think a lot of women are going to vote simply because she's a woman. It's very interesting to me um how men will kind of handle this, because I know a lot of people were hoping that Trump would be the ticket, but I think Kamala's the wild card. I've always said this, that I believe that they were going to endorse her anyway. I believe that she was the next runner up. That was just me, her, or Michelle Obama. I'm curious to see who she's going to choose as her VP. What I will say is, I believe Kamala has a very strong chance of running. And it's primarily, one, you have the immigrants that are becoming president, okay, and winning. You have the immigrant issues that the immigrants support the Democrats naturally, right? The people that your migrants, the people who are immigrants, I really feel like Kamala's going to fight for their rights a lot more, because she is an immigrant. She is the product of immigrants, right? So I believe that she's going to support um, her people, essentially, right? But I also think Kamala's going to fight for women. And I think it's time that the world sees how well women can run shit. Um, it's time to kind of put an end to the rhetoric that's being spewed. Period. Um, And I will say this, and I've said this time and time again, if Trump did not surround himself with people who choose to minimize women, and in all ways, if he did not surround himself by people who really want to put women back in the 1960s, 50s, 40s, then we could have a real conversation. But the moment you start talking about treading on my rights, it's a wrap. Okay. So I don't care what people's opinions are about Kamala. I don't necessarily know. One thing I will say is I feel like Kamala is going to have to really show up, and she's going to have to show that she's strong enough to handle that seat. I hope that she doesn't do anything to make this, because what she's got to understand is that she's now representing all women, not just black women. It's all women, right? And in a time where men have sought this war on women rights and womanhood, um we need a woman that's going to be able to stand toe to toe with someone like Trump or a JD Vance, right? And be able to articulate herself very well and stand on her square. Trump is not an easy candidate. He's not an easy person to kind of go against because of who he is. I find him to be, quote unquote, a bit aggressive at times, right? JD Vance, in my opinion, is already, once you start calling women old cat ladies and talking about how they're miserable, that's aggression off the rip. I don't know where it comes from, but the guy has a deep seated, rooted issue with women. It's obvious the way he's talking about them. My bad. Carl Tuckerson has the same similar issues. I don't know what that is. I understand that people see the outside and they're like, well, these people are married. I don't know about happy though. Because again, I never understood why married men would associate themselves with single people, right? I just don't understand that logic. And I understand that there's this conversation, oh, well, if it was a full, home, if there was a home and family, kids would be, nah, men were still abusive. Men have still put themselves in positions where they harm women time and time again, right? Um, so I cannot support someone who even thinks the red pill ideology. Okay. I can't even, to me listening to it, me supporting it, that is a clear disrespect of myself, and I will not do it. So I will be voting for Kamala Harris. Okay. And I really don't care what the rhetoric is or what the conversation is around her, or the conspiracies or whatever. I don't care. She has one job to do, which is show up and to be strong, not aggressive, but to be strong and who she is, right? I hope she don't do all this laughing and hee hee and giddy nonsense. Like that shit's gotta go. You're the fucking president, right? So for me, I support Kamala hands down. Why? Because she's a woman. Why? Because the conversations that males are having, even at the political level, are um they're danger to women of all races. The conversations and the rhetoric being had is very dangerous. It's a slippery slope. I see it as men don't really understand women to be even talking about women's rights at this point. And I will not support a man that thinks that putting me being pregnant, barefoot, and in the kitchen is what I desire to do. Right? I refuse to tolerate that kind of mindset. Okay. So I am not voting for Trump this year. And I have not voted for the Democratic ticket in a while, but I will be voting this time. And I hope that a woman becomes president. And I believe that as she does her campaign, as long as she's got the right players around her, she will win. Okay. So that's just my personal opinion. I'm in full support of Biden's, endorsement. Again, I'm not a liberal, so I don't have the liberal, like I'm a little nervous about my decision, but her being a black woman and a woman first in the types of times that we're in, I'm expecting more and more women to support her. I'm expecting women of all races to support her. So, I just feel like men are doing it to themselves, man. You can keep talking bad about women, keep punching down on women, keep disrespecting women, thinking you're gonna pass policies that completely degrade and put women in a position of property instead of actual human beings, then you will reap the consequences of that. And one of those consequences will be Kamala Harris. It is what it is. So I'm in full support of her. I support women. I support a black woman. I don't, again, I know realistically she's not a black woman, but she does look like me. And when the world is looking at her, they look at her as if she's one of me. The women that y'all can't stand, the women that folks are talking about, we're the worst on the planet, we're the most unattractive, which I don't see that, but okay. Everybody wants to talk down on the black woman. Now let the black woman be a face of this country. How about that? How about that? I think that shows right now she's one of, whether people like her or not, she's actually one of the most powerful people in this country. That's a fact. So, as a black woman married to a white man, I fully support that. You damn right. You damn right. Because what that tells me, what that tells my daughter, what that tells all the little girls is fuck what these folks are talking about. You can be and you can do whatever it you say, whatever it is that you want to do in your life. And that's important for little girls to hear that in a time where men are dogging women. I mean, dog walking women. It's amazing how them tables turn, boy. It's amazing. So people can keep talking shit about women. You can keep this red pill ideology that only continues to divide women and men. And you will see how quickly women will put a woman in power. You will see that in front of your face. And once the woman becomes president, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. I really believe she's going to fight for women's rights. That's number one, because that's her back. Like, women, it's different for women as the men. She's a fucking woman. She's going to fight for women's rights. She may not fight for the black cause, but she's going to fight for women's rights. That's a big deal. And she's also going to fight for immigration. Okay. I'm not necessarily for it, but I understand the kind of rhetoric that's being had. I'm not going to live in no Handmaid's Tale reality. Like, I'm not doing it, bro. So, Kamala is the best we got right now. It is what it is. I was on Act Blue earlier today, and one thing that they said that she had already raised like quite a few $billions already. Yeah, that's because she's a woman, and the world is sick of seeing a man in that seat. Not to mention that she's a woman, she's got color to her skin, and Hillary Clinton went up and Hillary was out. I think Kamala's gonna have a little bit of footing. That's just me. Not only that, but she's probably one of the youngest people to ever be endorsed as president. She's only 60. She's 59. She ain't even 60 yet. So hell yeah, I support her 1,000%. I think she is more relatable than a goddamn Trump. I don't relate to Trump. I don't relate to the elitist mentality. I'm not an elite. I don't relate to the suppression of women's rights. I don't agree with that. I don't support the red pill ideology at all. Like I absolutely refuse to even tolerate someone that even remotely speaks on it. Because to me, it's disrespectful and it's completely disregarding anything that a woman has gone through, a woman has experienced, and as women have had to tolerate. I'm not fucking dealing with it. You will not disrespect me, huh? So I expect to see a lot of women support Kamala simply because she's a woman. Yes. That opens the doors and it shows the fucking world that we're not something to just be walked all over. It just is what it is. So the longer the left or the right wants to keep spewing and attaching themselves to people with these far right ideologies, this I want the Handmaid's Tale reality, the more the right is going to begin to lose women. See, women were only going to that side because they didn't have another option. Now women actually have an option. And women, we tend to make things happen. So, I don't know. I guess Trump is going to have to figure out a new. How I see it is, he's going to have to figure out a new game plan because there's certain questions that he is not answering. He can answer them, but the people that he's aligning himself with have completely different ideologies than what he claims he has. Women who respect themselves will never fully align with the red pill ideology, not even close. So the longer Trump keeps speaking to these men that don't have shit, mad because women don't want them, because that's his base right now. It ain't even the white patriots. Like, we really, like, those are his base. That's who he went for the first time. This time he's going for the low hanging fruit, which are the men who are mad that they can't get a girl. They can't keep a girl. They don't know how to respect a girl, talk to a girl, none of that. That's who he's appealing to. And it's a lot of them. It's smart. But unfortunately, he is alienating his own base. I mean, not his base, excuse me. He is alienating women. He is showing us that I'm going to put all these men in power that don't respect women. They're on national television telling you they don't respect women. When a man is sitting there fixing his mouth to say a woman is single, so she must be an old cat lady. Not only that, but if she doesn't have children, even though she was born in this country, she does not have a direct stake in this country. Well, I don't think her taxes say that, because if that's the case, if as women, if we're not giving birth and we don't have a direct stake, why the fuck are we paying taxes, bro? You see what I'm saying? There's certain things that I just didn't appreciate about that rhetoric. I don't got a cat. I'm a single woman by choice, but I don't got a cat. And I'm far from miserable. So to me, when you lie on women, that's disrespectful. What JD Vance said was disrespectful. It was a fucking lie. And I'm sick of men lying. So when you put a woman in the presidency seat, she gonna correct all that. She may not be able to correct it at the individual level, but I bet you these men can't. You could say what you want, but your president is a black woman, bro. Have fun with that. Who has a white husband? Have fun with that. So I'm in full support of her, 100%. I will always support a woman. I am, especially a woman. Now, I don't know about no Hillary Clinton, bro. I'm sorry. If Hillary said she was running, she would not have my vote. Hillary, in my opinion, seems more manly than she does like a woman. Kamala, yeah, she had some policies. Some of those policies I actually agreed with. We didn't have it in this state. She was in a completely different state. I feel like if she was a prosecutor and she was as tough as she was, she may just be that tough in the office. So, go girl. Okay. I'm super proud of her. Like I said, as a black woman, I'm not really expecting her because I recognize she's not really black. I think that's the selling part of her campaign, is that she's a black woman. That actually sells a lot more than what people understand. I think what her goal is to attract black women, but not, she's automatically going to have the black woman vote off the rip. It's the other women, which means that she has to run on women rights. She's going to have to. She cannot support the red pill ideology. It's not going to work. She has to be about immigration and women's rights, and she will win this presidency. She will win. So I'm in full support of her. Like, I understand that there's going to be laws that come with that, but my rights are so much more important than her opening the border to let some immigrants in at this point. Because with the conversations are being had, if you put us in a handmaid's tale, that puts all women's lives at risk, including mine. Yeah, you bring in some immigrants, okay, I may have to gripe and complain for a bit, but that, those who are in danger as a result of that are far few in between as it relates to proximity, right? Versus the man controlling shit and telling women what women can and cannot do, who they can be and who they cannot be, how much of themselves they can be and how much of themselves they got to give away. That's way more dangerous. Way more dangerous. Off the rip, it is dangerous. To never let a man be in charge of me. The hell, he ain't God. And Kamala ain't talking about being in charge of me. So I respect that a lot more. So I will be following now this campaign. Now the election just got interesting. Now the next few months are going to be very interesting. Very interesting. I like the idea of not having two white old men, right? Trying to show who's the most, whatever. I like that idea. I think it's time. I think, this country has dealt with Caucasians, right? Old people, right? Trying to run the country and out of touch with everybody else in the country since this country was started. I'm not going to say founded, I'll say started. So I don't know, man. I'm ready to try something different, right? I personally am. And because of the rhetoric and how close we are to women's rights really being taken, we have to have a woman. Like you have to turn the tide quickly. You cannot allow Trump to get in, and now you're gonna wait 4 years for him to get out, for him to do what? We have to change the tide now. Women have to speak now. You cannot allow a man and president thinking, oh, well, I don't, I support women's rights. Ooh. Yeah, okay. Have fun with that. Because the moment he becomes president, he could essentially do whatever he wants. I trust a woman with my rights more than I'll ever trust a man. And the fact that this woman married a white man, that tells me she's not your typical black woman, if that's what they want to call her. So I think we'll see. Like I said, she's definitely gonna have to come with her A game. She cannot come weak. They're gonna have to prepare her. This laughing, giddy shit that she be doing, that shit's gotta go. Now it's time for business. You gotta take it serious. So I'm gonna be kind of curious to see who she shows up as. Is it the prosecutor Kamala, or is it this camera giddy woman? I need to see the prosecutor. Let's see how she does business. Let's see if she means business. She has put herself where she has an obligation that I don't know. I mean, we'll see if she understands the assignment. We'll see. Because I believe everything's in her favor. I believe that if she plays her cards right, she will win this presidency. That's just my thoughts. So it is what it is. I'm curious to see who she'll choose as a VP, right? Because it's gonna have to be someone of strength. It can't be anybody weak. And I'm curious to see how that dynamic plays out on screen, right? With her and Trump going back to back and debating. And I'm real curious to see how she can handle herself. Imagine that. Your first black woman president. And I understand people are like, well, Obama was the first black man, but he did such and such. Black men and black women do not think the same. We are not the same. We can't even get on the same page in terms of reality, let alone being the same. Black men do not think the same way black women do. Black men support the ideology of white supremacy, not necessarily black women. Black women do not. We move in a manner that is so different from the average person off the rip, white women included. I'm not saying we're better than, we just are different. We mean business better than some of these folks that claim they about their business. Black women are more powerful individually than I think people really know and understand. And we move in a manner that helps to maintain our power. We don't readily give our power away. And I know people are like, oh, well, you a black woman, you at the bottom of the totem pole. Power starts from within. Now, the most powerful woman on the planet right now is Kamala Harris. She's supposedly a black woman. This is what they're telling us. The same woman the world wants to degrade, disrespect, treat like shit. And part of that is because they know who we are. They know who we are. So I could care less. Even if she was the worst president on the planet, I know as a black woman, you may not have that experience. I don't give a fuck. Because once a woman is in that office, a woman can always take seat at that office. Do you understand me? Some interesting times we're in. And I say this wholeheartedly. I think times are changing intentionally. Um, and I don't believe men are going to win this war. I think that women are going to win this. And it's unfortunate that it's become a war, but that's what men have made it out to be. So there's a lot of women who are fully aware of this rhetoric, this red pill ideology. There's a lot of people that are worried and concerned about Project 25. And while some people are downplaying Project 25, it is a very real thing. So at this point, I think men, I mean, if Trump wants to stay in his position, I mean, we'll see because it's going to be real close if we even have an election. If Trump ends up winning, fuck, right? If Kamala ends up winning, great. But it's going to be real interesting to see how these two play out over the course of the next, few months, because she's only got a few months. And I wouldn't be shocked if we see more women than men support her. Just is what it is. So that's all I got to say on the matter, y'all. Let me know what y'all think down in the comments below. With that being said, I'm out. Peace.